Welcome to the After Chat. I'm Michael.
I'm Madison.
And today we're talking about deconstruction. Ready?
I am.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the After Chat. Real questions. Real talk. Real life.
So what is one goal you're working towards right now?
It's kind of weird,
Okay.
but I have been trying to put some more effort into expressing myself every day in my in what I wear and my makeup and stuff. Which in the past I've always been encouraging myself to be fine walking out of the house, however, because that's being confident, right? Is just being able to pop out and exist comfortably the way that you are. But I'm realizing I just feel it more like myself when I take time and put the effort in. And so my goal is to not just get ready every day, but put effort into what I'm wearing and the way that I look every day. And it's been going well.
You know what I've noticed?
Thank you.
I commented on your hair the other day.
You did, yeah.
You had a French braid situation on both sides.
That's more so because my hair is getting so long. If I don't braid it or pull it out of the way, it will be a rat's nest.
Okay.
Which funny story. I was backstage this past Sunday getting ready to go out to sing our closing song. And I was like, oh my gosh, my hair's got so many tangles in it. And one of the guys on my team who sings, he was like, Santa wouldn't like that. I'm like, what the heck?
What does that
mean? He's like, because your hair is naughty. And I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, Lance. Funny joke. I've been riding that joke all week. I think it's so good. But yes, my hair not tangled all the time unless it's been a few hours and I've been bopping around. I am trying to wear nice outfits and feel like a human who enjoys the way that she's dressing. So it's been a good time.
I love that.
Thank you.
So I'm just working towards more. My goal that I'm kind of working towards right now is just being more intentional with how I'm spending my time. It's my oldest daughter's senior year of high school.
Yeah.
So I just want to be a lot more present in the evenings and all of the things. So I had to go, and admittedly, this isn't my strong suit. My calendar and my Asana task list are just kind of hodgepodges of things, but I'm taking on a couple more roles, and I also want to just be intentional with being free in the evenings and being able to go to all of her cheer events and all of her sports events. And so I went, Daylene, who's been a guest on our podcast before, she also kind of handles all of our calendars for the campus pastors. And so I just went and said, can we take 30 or 45 minutes or however long it takes to schedule me in a way that makes sense. And she pulled up my calendars and said, this is a hot mess. And I said, I'm aware. And just kind of put my head down and said, can you please help me? And she did. And so It's off to a good start because the school year just started for my girls last week.
Yeah.
We've had one football game so far and just trying to make sure that I'm present for all of the things.
I don't think I realized that football starts that soon when school starts. I'm not familiar with sports seasons very much.
Oh,
so I didn't realize it just was straight away.
Yes. So
Wow.
they started school on Tuesday. First game was on Friday. So usually the last 3 weeks of the summer, everybody's in full practice
That's why
mode.
they're doing band camps and stuff at the end of the summer.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I didn't go to public school, so this is unfamiliar to
Yeah.
me. But very cool.
So that's kind of how that works.
Nice. Very cool. I'm
Yeah.
glad that you have the time that you need with her because that seems really important.
It's getting there.
Nice.
So, yeah. All right. Where do we go next?
Well, we're talking about deconstruction, which we'll break down in a little bit exactly what that means. But kind of to lead up to it, when did you first start asking hard questions about your faith?
Really right out of the gate, because I didn't go to church growing up.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to, once I decided that this was where I was going to go, for me, it was just like, okay, well, what does that mean? And the first one that I really got really focused on was, what does it mean to die to self? That was
a good question.
That was the first real big one. And so I ended up at Brick and Mortar Lifeway and loved that store. I wish those stores were still open.
Yeah.
Like that's a big loss.
It is.
Bring them back. And so found a Andrew Murray book called Humility. I think we've mentioned that on here before. And it really just talks about living in total dependence on God. And letting yourself go and like freeing yourself from the burden of trying to control everything. And that was one of the first big questions that I asked and wrestled with. And that was right out of the gate. Like I bought a Bible that day and that book.
Dang. That is an intense question to come out of the gate with, but I like it.
So what about you?
I think that I was probably, if I think back on the time frame, I think I was probably about 22. Ish, which I had, I had been in church my whole life, and I'm sure that I asked difficult questions along the way. But this was like a season of me really wrestling with some specific theology that I had been taught that I wasn't so sure if I agreed with anymore, and that felt very unsettling because I thought that I knew everything and I thought that I understood everything. And then to have something that I wasn't so sure about really rattled, well, what else could I be wrong about?
That's like just pulling on a thread.
Yeah. But it was a good process, and I'll share a little bit more about it as we continue the episode. But it didn't really come in my teenage years. A lot of folks, it does come in their teenage years when they're really trying to figure out who they are independent of their parents. But I guess I'm a little bit of a late bloomer, so it hit me in my early 20s. But it was great. It was a great process. I wouldn't necessarily consider it like a full 100% deconstruction. At the time, I was really scared of using that word. I thought that word could only be used in a bad way. But it doesn't have to just be used in a bad, negative way. It can bring you some positives too, which we're going to get into, which is fun. So, tell us about deconstructing. What actually is it?
So there's two different ways that you can look at it. Deconstructing because of church hurt. Well, really, it's just like a full re-examining of what you believe and why. That's typically what it starts out as, but there can be some things that serve as a catalyst to it.
Yeah.
So the first one that we're going to kind of just go over here before we dive into things, just to establish some terms and ways it kind of presents itself, is deconstructing because of church hurt. This typically stems from some sort of pain or disappointment, or betrayal from church or from like the church itself or its leaders.
Yep.
Your primary focus on that, or like the thing that takes up so much of your attention, might be something regarding the church or the rules of the church, the people in the church, or the traditions that particular denomination has. Most of the emotions that pop up during that time are really anger, frustration, or becoming cynical. Like a deep-seated cynicism of the institution itself. You might find yourself starting to reject the church structures or the authority of the church in your life. You might feel disillusioned with organized religion as a whole. And really you're risking bitterness towards faith in general. Yeah. Or disconnection from God. Like, because you have some sort of unmet expectations, or based on the people that are there. And then whenever you feel some sort of way towards them, you start finding yourself disconnecting from God as a result. Yeah. So that's kind of what deconstructing because of church hurt might look like.
I think it's super important to differentiate that because I feel like that is the narrative that I hear the most from people who have stepped away from faith. Is they've stepped away from faith because they deconstructed based on church hurt, when there's more that you're missing out on when that's your
Yes.
motivator. So I think kind of raising the alarm bells of like, hey, this is not a full reason to completely walk away from your faith because of church hurt. I think it's a valuable part of the conversation, but there are other things that we can
Well,
also
you
deconstruct.
might want to ask yourself the question like, have my beliefs about God changed because somebody over here did X, Y, or Z?
Yeah.
Like, if that's what you find yourself struggling with or asking that type of question, like that might just be something to really look at.
Yeah. Very
Um,
true.
so deconstructing your beliefs about God, that might look more toward like the motivating factor for that might be a desire for truth,
Mm-hmm.
like a deeper understanding of the truth of who he is, a deeper authenticity or a deeper understanding
Yeah.
of who God is. Your focus is learning more about his character, his nature, deepening your own personal faith. Emotions that you might feel are, you might find yourself being more curious about something, or you're humbling yourself more as a way to learn more about him and to lean into a more fuller dependence on him.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of questioning things.
Yeah.
Like, not for any cynical reason, but just because you genuinely want to know and have a better relationship with him. Things that might pop up during that are re-examining your beliefs about God's love, justice, or presence. And you're just seeking a more personal, authentic faith. And hopefully, when you get to the end result of all of that, you have a stronger, more clear relationship with him, which is what you're after if you're genuinely deconstructing for that reason.
Yeah.
So questions that you might find yourself asking, why is church like that? Why are all those people like that? That might be some sort of undealt with church hurt. But if you find yourself asking questions like, well, who is God really?
Yeah.
That's a more God-focused deconstruction. So those are just kind of the two lenses that we have here.
I like that. I like I feel like I've had an experience that is very similar to deconstructing beliefs about God, and a big result at the end of that wasn't necessarily. It's not necessarily understanding everything, because I didn't like. We can't understand God
Not all
completely.
things,
Like
no.
we can grow and learn more, but like the end result for me was just like this really peaceful, like, oh, I don't have to know it all. Like the holy unknowing, the mystery of God
Yes.
too. Like sometimes it can be genuinely digging in and learning more about who God really is, and then sometimes it can be releasing control of who you think God is.
Yes.
Yeah, which we're going to get into.
And just be more comfortable in the
Yeah.
unknowing and finding
Absolutely.
peace and contentment there.
Because it's actually like a really nice place to be. It's so nice to like not have to have it all figured out.
And especially whenever you're just sitting there, like it's a very humbling thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to know.
Yeah.
Like this is just
It's above my pay grade.
yes, but I do know that I'm going to be
Yep.
loyal and follow in all of the things.
Yeah.
So let's look at Job.
Yes.
This is somebody who really kind of had a God-focused deconstruction, like kind of the way that we're going to look at his story.
Yeah.
So he really wanted to understand why God allowed the immense suffering that he was going through.
Which is understandable. He went through a
there's
lot.
nothing, that is a very human thing. And the Lord didn't even have anything like negative to say about that part. But what was he focusing on? Like he was focusing on God's justice and power and purpose. And so some of the questions that he was asking was, why did I suffer if I was righteous? And what did I do to deserve this?
Yeah, valid questions for sure.
Very valid. Some of the emotions that he did have was he expressed anger during that. He expressed confusion during that story. He expressed doubt, but he was honest about all of those things. He didn't try to present one way and then act another. Like he was owning his emotions. Which God is a big God. He can handle your emotions.
He sure can.
He's handled right many of mine. And I know you a little bit, and right many of yours.
A lot of them. Many.
And that is what he did with them. He directly addresses God with raw questions and honest emotions. He engaged in a deep reflections on divine justice and human suffering. You can read, he had right many monologues that lasted multiple chapters. We're not going to go into all of them, but he didn't, the outcome at the end of it was his faith evolved.
Yeah.
Like he had a deeper understanding of who God is, who he is as a result. And he humbled himself in the comfort of and took comfort in the fact that, you know what, I don't need to know all of the things.
Yeah.
God didn't really answer any of it.
He didn't. He did hit him with a pretty intense, who do you think you are? I am.
I mean, he did. Like, what do you know about the firmament, son?
It was needed. It was needed in a way that was, I believe it was a blessing to Job, because he wasn't told that he was wrong for feeling that way.
Nope.
He was just told, hey, you don't have to figure this out. This is all up to me.
Yes.
You're good. You're covered.
But he could have gotten bitter towards a
Yeah.
lot of his friends and gave up on everything. His friends, they started out kind of helpful, and then kind of went a little sideways, and God checked them too.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, his faith, he was brought to a deeper understanding of who God is, and he had a deeper faith as a result, and he followed him even harder after.
Good stuff.
So that's kind of a healthy way to do it.
Yeah, I think it's the best example that I can think of in the Bible of someone, off the top of my head, of someone firsthand actually navigating this process in a way that is so healthy, who is also
Going in the middle of some crazy,
insane loss and grief and physical, personal pain, and is still willing to deconstruct in a way that leads him closer to God. And I think it's a model we could be blessed ourselves to follow. So
yeah, I mean, and it really shows that you can go to God with tough questions, with real raw emotion.
Yeah.
And he's not going to just say, get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to take it. He's going to hear it. And he's not going to abandon you because of it.
Yes. However, if you're not in the middle of experiencing that or in the middle of deconstructing, I think there are also some things that you can do to kind of set yourself up for success for when that phase hits, which we can check out this clip from Brian Hughes about that.
But there's a choice. And the choice is not against the storm coming. You can't prevent the storm from coming, because storms come from time to time to all of us. The choice then is whether or not I will actually build my life in such a way that will stand against the storm, that my faith and my life will have staying power no matter what. Or will I build a faith that falls apart because the house was built on something else, on the unstable ground of sinking sand? See, I don't know about you, but I want my faith to prevail. I want my life to win against the storms. I want to persevere and end my time here on earth with words from heaven that say, well done. And if we will apply the teachings of Jesus to our lives, if we will really live them out, our faith will have power against the temptation to take the easy way. Our faith will have power against the deceit of false teachings that don't actually point to God but might make us feel good. Our faith will have power over the pride that maybe I want to highlight my resume or feed my ego. Our faith will have power against the storms that come against it. Building on the solid rock of Jesus Christ ensures that I can prevail against the storms of my life right now and all that will come, and my faith will get stronger, not weaker, because of those storms.
I want my faith to prevail. I want my life to win against the storms. I want to persevere and end my time here with the words from heaven, well done. Boom.
Yeah.
Love that. And we get to see a very powerful example of that in Job.
Absolutely.
And we want that to be true for us in our lives. We want that to be true for each and every one of you that are checking this out. And, we really see whenever questions come, whenever storms come, whenever things that might happen that we don't want to have happened, or we get our feelings hurt or our expectations not met,
Yeah.
it's really easy. It can be easy to just give up and walk away. And so as you go along your faith journey, you're going to have questions and you're
Yeah.
going to need to reconcile them. So one of the things for me was whenever I first started digging into the Bible and reading the Old Testament and reading the New Testament. And I really did. I love this exercise. I wish I would have had it then, but I learned it from Beth Stoddard later, was write down all of the things that you think about God and all of the adjectives that you have to describe him, and then all the ones that you have about Jesus, and then start working to reconcile the two.
Yeah.
Because everything that we need, that we believe about God, should be filtered through the person of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a very big one for
Yeah.
me whenever I first started coming along. And then as I began doing ministry, you had to reconcile that you're going to be working with imperfect people.
Yeah.
And they're going to be working with me, who is also an imperfect person. And we all need to learn to reconcile those things because we are all going in the same direction.
Yeah.
And so there's a whole lot of things that I really had to wrap my head around as I not only came to God, but then started working in ministry as well. Because it can be easy to get cynical and get frustrated at the people that you're doing things with. And you will have questions that people will ask you about your faith that maybe you haven't considered before. And there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I don't know, but let's dig into this together and see what we can't find out and learn. And so, but all of those you're going to need to do, and you're going to have to do at some point as you seek to follow him.
Yeah, I think the key with that is to just be continually willing to not let a detail trip you up over everything, which is
Yes.
similar to what I experienced when I was younger in my early 20s. I think I very easily could have gotten to the point where I let a couple key theological beliefs about what God offers to us while we are here on earth. I believed one thing from the spaces that I grew up in, and it was bad theology. And it affected me negatively, but I didn't let that keep me from wanting to sort it out and figure it out and keep
Yes.
trying. I think when you let the one little thing hiccup and snowball into everything, that's where you get in trouble, and suddenly your foundation that you've built your life on is completely gone. But if you're just willing to be curious and open to learning new things or having your mind changed in some way, that is where you get the freedom of being able to take this incoming information and either absorb it or let it go back out and ignore it. And it's just, there's freedom. So like I grew up in spaces where I was taught that that God always, while we're here on earth, God always wants us healed and whole, physically and emotionally and mentally. And that led me to that led me to believe that there was something wrong with me because I wasn't believing in hard enough to get the deliverance or the healing or the relief that I was wanting to get. Kind of like what Job was experiencing in a similar way, only if I was in this scenario as Job, my church leaders were saying, well, just believe harder because that's the key there. And this is actually unfortunately a very common belief in a lot of churches.
So that's a expectation that you have of God that he never promised in the first place.
Exactly. But the thing that is like a little bit of a church hurt there is, well, why didn't my leaders teach me that?
Yes.
They were wrong. And if they were wrong, what else were they wrong about? And what am I wrong about now? Because I learned from them. And in the mess of being told that if you just believe or pray hard enough, you can be completely healed, there's also that little twist of being told that you're not good enough by your leaders, that there's something wrong with you or broken in you and your relationship with God. And I mean, I don't need to get into details, but that was it affected the way that I viewed the church and the way that I viewed leadership. And I had to not only like get comfortable with the fact that I didn't know everything and actually deconstruct and reconstruct my beliefs about who God was and what he offered me, but I also had to address the underlying church hurt that was there of being I wouldn't say mistreated. A lot of people, unfortunately, have situations in church where they experience being mistreated. I would say mine was just more being misled and also sort of like emotionally pulled along as I'm being misled of like, I don't really know how else to say it. So I had the kind of both perspectives going on, and I had to There's also more church hurt in my past that I had from like younger years. So both of these aspects of it, I just had to say, okay, that's not the church. That was this church.
Yes.
That was this group that are imperfect human beings. And I just had to release the need to be right or the need to tell them that they were wrong about what they had taught me, all that good stuff. I had to go through this situation in both areas, but the thing that brought me the most life was getting to release the control of needing to understand absolutely everything. And that was so freeing. And I love seeing that played out in the Bible, particularly in Job's story, to just be given the freedom to not have to know everything immediately. Like, you're not on shaky ground if you don't know exactly what you believe and why. You are on shaky ground if you let yourself stay that way.
Yes.
But if you build slowly with practices that we are shown in the Bible bring us closer to God, and then you will have a solid foundation.
No, and I think one of the biggest ones from Job is just own your emotional state.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned it here before, but I think one of the best things that I've learned to do, which has helped me whenever I get in those kind of spaces, is just start talking to God and say, Lord, I don't know exactly where I'm at with all of this, but here's kind of where I'm feeling. I am upset about this.
Yeah, I don't know why it's so common for us to feel like we have to approach God with like a fully
Like
100,
a mask.
I either a mask or like I have to figure this out before I take it to God. Like, no, you don't. You can go to him in the middle of the process.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love that Job did that.
Yeah.
Like full on rants.
He really did.
And most of the Psalms, full on rants.
Yeah.
And at none of them did God like wag his finger at them and say, don't talk to me about those things. Bring me the happy shiny. And and none of those.
Nope.
So own what you're feeling and why, but most importantly, like, take it to God.
Yeah.
Like, don't cut off communication with him. Because you're upset about what somebody at church did. Talk to God about what that person at church did.
Yeah. If you leave God out of your deconstruction process, there will be nothing good that will come from it.
No.
Include him in it, and then it will be refining and life-giving.
Most deaf.
Yeah.
So one takeaway, like what I kind of gave mine, like whatever you're feeling, whether it's church hurt or you're wanting a better understanding of who God is and his character and all of his things, like, talk to him about it. And I find it helpful to do it out loud with a series of I statements. Mm-hmm. Like, it helps me do a full emotional inventory.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I don't even know I know that I'm feeling upset, but I don't really know why until I actually start talking about it out loud to him.
Yeah. I would say I would kind of take that a little bit of a step further and say, yes, that's important, and don't not do that, or don't do it. What am I trying to say? I would combine it with also talking out loud and being honest with other people.
Yes.
Like, don't just do it with God. Yes, that's important and critical and exactly what you should be doing, but include other people in the process. Even if they think differently than you, it's still a chance to just release the need to have it all figured out. And it's also opening yourself up to other perspectives who might have something really important that they can share with you from their own experiences that they have wrestled with.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good spot to land it.
Yeah.
So like, share, subscribe, all of the things. We want to hear your feedback on this episode. There's a link down in the show notes somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't.
Neither of us have a mug again.
While we don't have one, Sarah will send one to you. If you leave us a review, we'll read it on air and we will send you a mug.
Yeah.
We've got to get this dialed in. I think this is like 4, 5 episodes.
Who knows?
Who
knows,
where
guys?
we don't have one.
Just give us a little bit. We'll figure it out.
we will sort that out. But yeah, and find us in our Facebook group because it's pretty awesome in there these days. And we'll see you back here next week for another episode of The After Chat.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for The After Chat. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To be the first to hear our next episode, be sure to hit the subscribe button and get notifications for new content. You can also follow us on social media on Instagram at PCC Wired and Facebook at Passion Community Church. For additional resources and links, check out the description. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on The After Chat.